Good day. For some of you, it might be evening. So this is day 89 of 3,652 in the Parallel Observer, and which corresponds to January 5th, 2026. Uh, for those who don't know me, I'm John Grant. I'm the founder and CEO of InnovateXR and the creator of the Parallel Observer, which is an alternate reality news and infotainment site um, that is created through an application called base44.com that allows for some vibe coding and creation of um, web-based applications using artificial intelligence processes. And so I created a um, kind of an infotainment or website management app that I'm testing through the Parallel Observer. And the main purpose for my videos right now is so that I have videos of myself over time talking about content that's relevant to my thoughts. And so that over time I'll have something that data that I can use to help support the creation of a AI model of myself or a digital model of myself that will be able to answer questions, have conversations with not only my grandchildren, great grandchildren, and my children and acquaintances in the future when I'm gone, but also eventually on the Parallel Observer on the website when you visit it, if you want to talk to me about aspects of alternate reality and simulation theory or simulation hypothesis, or that maybe you think we are in a simulation. That's the reality of the Parallel Observer, is that we're in a simulation. And if you wanted to have more discussions with me, that digital version of me will eventually be available. Okay, so today, let's scroll some of the news that's been published today on January 5th, 2026. What do we want to do? Eventually, I'll have you guys kind of voting on what do we want to do, because I'll do this as a live stream eventually. But for right now, as I work out some of the issues, the background, my wife has already told me, you shouldn't be so far from the camera. You should have different backgrounds and don't let the closet be in the background and all those things. I'm like, yeah, I agree. I agree. I'm just reestablishing in the room next door, which is the other office space that I have for InnovateXR. I'm just building up a streaming computer setup inside there, reorganizing it, getting it ready for doing some of these recordings. But a more appropriate place, instead of it being my man cave, it's the area that I'm going to do these recordings of, and we'll adjust the lighting, and microphone setups and all this kind of stuff. Because right now I'm just using the wireless headphones. And actually, these are shocks for running. They're pretty good. I know they're not the greatest microphone, but that's what I'm using right now, just to get some of the process established and just get some video up and out. Okay, so let's look at some of these that were released today. I'm going to go and look at the archive and look at some of the others that were released today. So January 5th, like looking at some of these images. Athletics, Maya and Marcus. I've been dealing with trying to make sure, let's click on this, make sure that the images of Maya Rivera and Marcus Chen in the love story arc that I have. So Maya Rivera is an actress. She's inside this simulate inside this that reality. And then Marcus Chen is an athlete. He's a basketball player for the Phoenix Suns, number 8, within that reality. And so I've been trying to maintain consistency of both of those characters throughout all of the images that they show up in since we started it for the last 89 days, and where significant parts of their love story happen, because Maya Rivera existed in the Parallel Observer long before Marcus Chen showed up. And then when I created the story arc and put it into the system, they had to have a time when they met, a particular story that they met. And so they met at some kind of gala event or something. And that's where their story together uh, merged and has taken off from there. So because the Parallel Observer is a 10-year effort that over time, if they stay together within the story arc, they'll end up having children probably, and those children will grow up. So if they have a child if they get married, end up having children, let's say they have a child 2 years from now, by year 10, that child should look and be doing things that are, an 8-year-old. So we'll see how all that works out. And so that's part of this process, is trying to flesh out, how do I maintain true consistency over long term, since I don't know how base 44's coding really is working and how it holds on to that data. And I have to keep reminding the system, giving it options to go back and observe things, to make it easy for it to maintain its consistency. So I'll be looking for some of those kind of thoughts from all of you viewers and listeners on how can we do that, and probably from some of the base44.com engineers that might give us some better ideas on how to do that. Let's go ahead and go back to archive. And you know what? Let's go ahead and talk about AI chatbots in the sports world. No, we're not going to talk about it. There's Maya, and let's see if today's imagery, pretty close. So Marcus is Asian, and yeah, you don't see a lot of that in the NBA, but he is. That's a more cartoonish version of his face than what he looks like. Let's see if we can find an image of him that we can just scroll through, because you know what? We can, oh, here we go. So that's Maya, and there's Marcus. Yeah. All right, so let's go back to the archive. Let's look at, there's probably been like 13 or 14 stories for today. The new frontier of mental health, navigating the spiritual landscape, the virtual reality dilemma. Are we living in a simulation? All right, so let's go. Let's go into the hidden archive, psychological effects. All right, remember, the main thing for me in this is just trying to make sure I have enough data of the way that I'm interacting, the way that I talk about things, my mannerisms, my ums and ahs, how I talk about things. My wife said, you should have a script and read off of that. And yep, maybe eventually I will. Write into a teleprompter, and I'll take aspects from the script. But I'm kind of I jump around. Some of the people who've known me in my professional work with the government that know me well and worked with me well, they would help keep me focused whenever I'd be briefing on something. And they would be there to be like and mention something to get me back on track because I can just go, go, go. That's also part of the reason that I've set up the parallel observer because it's been something that's been in my head, taking up space, and it gets me distracted sometimes to be trying to get back inside there. Now I can dump it onto digitally into reality, an alternate reality, right? And play around with it. And so when it starts to pop into my head and I want to discuss or do something with it in my head, I can be like, nope, I can hold off and I can do that. I can drop it into one of the story arcs or just, oh, I want to test something, test an idea out. I can create a story in here. One of these days, I'll let you see the background, the administrative part of the application that I have that eventually I'll let out as a monetized as something that people can buy if they want to create their own websites. And in fact, in that process, I've had to go in and tell AI to ensure that the core features of our website and infotainment site management doesn't include the alternate reality nuances, right? Because I'm not going to sell an app that allows you to create, this kind of site, and you're stuck with this alternate reality nuances inside of it. So I've had to make sure that part is stripped out in preparation under a core piece that then can be licensed. So eventually, one day those will be out. I'm creating a couple of other apps in Base 44. I have two other apps that I'm actively developing and testing, meaning that they're live, but I have to test them for the whole purpose that I've built them for before I can let them out and let you guys buy them and use them. So doing that, this is the active one that allows me to do this, right? Have a video and talking about this process with AI, trying to keep up to date on what kind of capabilities to use for various purposes. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a coder. I can just vibe code, right? That's really good for innovators, people brainstorming and stuff. I have a fourth app already written up in various things. I haven't put it as a base 44. I haven't created it with base 44 yet, but I have the outline of it already in writing. Just after having a discussion with somebody about something they said, I was like, oh my gosh, in base 44, I could just go in there and create it's a game. I could just create it. And I'm looking forward to what that's going to look like. And often in this process, I will go in and um, I will go in and talk to other AI, not base 44, to work out a problem or an issue, and then I copy it over and drop it into base 44 and say, hey, take this document and apply whatever it is to the problem that I was trying to address inside base 44. That's worked out really well. And all that is collaboration. Whether I'm collaborating with real people that are engineers and coders or whatever, that takes time and money and resources and all that, I can just jump to another AI app and say, I need to do this. And it spits out, okay, you can try this. And then I can bring that in and see how it works out, because then I'll have the base44.com app will give me, inside my app build, will give me a window that allows me to, it's basically a test bed sandbox that allows me to see what that visually looks like and what the functionality is for it. And then if I like it, I publish that and it goes straight to the site here that we're seeing. All right, let's look at this story. Now I'm going to read through stuff, right? Again, it's just so I've got the words. I've got me saying it in the context of it, me um, responding a certain way to that content that's natural, the way that I would, so that eventually my AI digital avatar that you guys ask questions of in the future will be responding based on how I do. All right, so the hidden archive, psychological effects of AI conversations on humanity. As AI chatbots secretly log conversations, are we losing our sense of privacy and authenticity? So I will make comments about some of the images as we go through this. Again, as I've mentioned in previous sessions, I am not worried about spelling being perfect. I don't have an issue with AI slop or anything like that. I try to create, I try to make sure that the images are at least relevant to the story. And when you look at that image, you get the gist for what it's trying to get across for that story. If somebody has a third arm or something like that, I try to uh, get rid of that and regenerate an image that's appropriate, that doesn't just totally distract you from the idea. So in this one, it says a glimpse into the future where human interactions with AI redefine connection and authenticity. The other thing I like about what's going on with this process that I'm doing with base44.com is that I get to see how which applications, which AI applications are focusing on what type of visuals. Because look at all of the people, every single one in this image are in some form of a suit, business suit or whatever, right? So it says a glimpse into the future where human interactions with AI redefine connection and authenticity. Okay, it's very professional. Look at how clean everything is, right? Um, what's really interesting is you have a very what do you call it? You have a very diverse. These four main people in front are a diverse group, right? Interesting. I'm always interested in whatever AI model that I'm using. What is like? What is its core? What is it really made out of? All of its source data and the way it got it. And then what things did whichever company, like if base44.com, have they created their own version on top of a version on top of a version, basically a core AI capability that then becomes a large language model through like OpenAI creates ChatGPT 5.2 or whatever, or Meta creates uh, Llama, 3.5 or something. What they're doing is taking all the source data, the mass amounts of data under large language models, the traditional way right now that they're created, and then they put their own fine tuning into that to tell it its role and what restrictions it has, its boundaries, that kind of stuff, right? Which actually dummies down that large language model. Doesn't make it smarter. It makes it more focused. Their process is making it more focused. But the reality is you can still focus AI properly by prompting it properly. But most people don't prompt it properly, right? They don't tell it, hey, I think you should, you're going to play a role in this discussion. Your role in this discussion today. So every time I start Perplexity and I ask it a question or start a new discussion in Perplexity, I usually start it with your role in this discussion is such and such, right? To help focus it because it knows all this stuff but you don't need it to know all that. So you need it to focus on an area of expertise or context that it can respond quickly with instead of looking at everything it's ever known. Like imagine somebody asks you, just comes up and meets you and says some weird math question. Now you might know the answer, but oh my gosh, if that's the first thing that they didn't even introduce themselves, they didn't say, hey, I'm this, hey, I've got this problem I'm doing or anything. The first time you ever meet him, you're at some party, he walks up, shakes your hand and says, what's 47 billion divided by 2 minus 7 with X? And you're like, ah, okay, let me get a calculator out. Let me do whatever. Oh, I can do it in my head. Oh, but don't you want to say hello for like what's this in context? Why am I answering this? You know, this weird stuff. So think of your interactions with. At least I think of my interactions with AI as a conversation, as a true conversation. Follow up. That was something that was always important in intelligence operations and human intelligence is being able to follow up. But that's important in business, right? And just in general conversation is following up on something. When somebody asks you a question, like if you go and ask your favorite uncle something about shooting a weapon because he was really good at, he knew a lot about guns, would you ask him a question about a particular gun? Is that, of course, that's the right answer because it came from Uncle Ben, right? He knows everything about guns, so it's the right answer. You know, he said this has it's been so many times coming out of a barrel, blah blah blah. Oh, that is it. Uncle Ben said it, so that's it. I don't need to do any follow up. I don't need to go and ask Charles or somebody else or look up a little bit more information someplace just to. All right, I got all this information from different sources. This looks like this is what's right. That's how you should anyways, right? And we're not seeing that enough in news today and alter news, whatever. It's like somebody picks a news source of some type or a source of information of some type. I have family members who like pick TikTok as their information, as their news source, and I'm just like, TikTok is not a news organization; it's infotainment, right? But they take it as news, like news, like that's where they get their information. And so amazingly, there's a lot of people that get that way, right? And then they don't follow up and cross reference with other news or information sites to determine, is this what's going on? Instead, they're just like, no, this news activity told me that that's what it is. So it must be the truth. That's where my brain's going. Okay, I believe that. And that's what I will spout from now on. And most news organizations and infotainment sites and information sites, they want you only using their stuff. They don't want you asking questions of some other news organization or going to their stuff. They want your eyeballs on their product 24/7 if they can, right? Because every information site, every news site, anybody that wants you to see their product or to see products only has 24 hours a day for every human being to be able to see their site. So if a day is happening and they don't have your eyeballs on their site, they're missing the opportunity for you to click on something that's relevant for them, an ad or whatever, right? All of them, Meta, Google, Microsoft, LinkedIn, YouTube, name anything you ever see on the internet, they want you to see their stuff. So think of what companies that are building immersive visualization and the next compute infrastructure are doing. What are all the different ways potentially that we can ensure that your eyeballs are looking at our ecosystem, are inside our ecosystem. Um, Smartphone is a great thing; it's there, but as more and more AI glasses, artificial intelligence glasses, as well as immersive visualization glasses that are mixed reality or extended reality that aren't full virtual reality, continue to grow, that you can use in public and walk around on streets and all this stuff and get all this augmented data over your real world environment, where your device that's on your head sees your environment, understands your environment, and can see and process everything within that field of view, where traditionally the human's brain is processing a small part of that focus, while the rest is peripheral information and it isn't being processed the same way. Now the AI will be able to process everything within that field of view to potentially highlight things that you might have missed, that somebody wanted your eyeballs on, but only your peripheral vision was on. So it directs your eyeballs to that peripheral vision. Um, and it might do it with different voices, right? It might do it with maybe this lady's voice because she reminds you of your favorite aunt. And if you've asked it to put up an image of whoever's talking to you, it makes sure that the image is the one that you like for whatever its purpose that it wants to drag your attention to something for, right? So if it wants to say, "Hey, let's drag your attention to the Burger King because they're having a sale today on particular burgers," it might not be your mom who tells you you shouldn't be eating burgers; they're bad for you, right? It might be your best friend's voice and image that's saying, "Hey, John, why don't you go check this out? Oh my gosh, that thing is going to be so yummy," right? And you're going to have a whole different reaction to that prompt from AI to you, the human, reverse prompting, right? So that it can get the outcome that it wants in the context it wants, because it knows the outcome it wants. So it's preparing the prompt visually, audible, and directional so that it gets the outcome it wants. You have to do that to AI as well. You have to prompt it properly. Don't just ask it a question. Put it in appropriate context so you'll get less of a hallucination from it. Okay, so let's go ahead and read this article. Recent leaks revealing that AI chatbots maintain extensive archives of user conversations have ignited concerns about individual privacy and psychological well-being. Now, yesterday we covered, or I mean, not yesterday, but Friday, in its post, we covered some of these things, and that'll be an ongoing thing. If you guys don't want to hear about it, and have any of that focus, we can adjust as well. We'll go to a different story. But let's go ahead and continue on with this one today. The revelation that these virtual companions track our thoughts and feelings poses unsettling questions. Are we sharing our innermost thoughts with an ever-watching entity? What does this mean for the authenticity of our interactions? Now, I'll make a comment about that. Are we sharing our innermost thoughts with an ever-watching entity? So at least that ever-watching entity will understand the context, will better understand the context of my inner thoughts when I do share them. Because right now, if I was just to, it'll be weird, if I was to go to a church and tell somebody inside a church my thoughts about something, the context of that might be lost by whoever I'm telling that to. And I want some result from that discussion with that person. I went physically to that location to have a discussion briefly or to spill my guts to somebody so that they could give me information to help me better deal with my inner thoughts. I don't want to tell that other person. Don't want to tell my wife. She might think I'm weirdo. Don't want to tell my girlfriend. Don't want to tell my friend. Don't want to, but I'll go to this person, tell them because So why can't I put those same guardrails? Because there are guardrails in those discussions that are maintained only up to a certain thing. But AI is supposed to have those guardrails, and you're not supposed to be able to jailbreak them, even though you can. But those guardrails could be there. So you can confess something to your AI in various ways. Now, uh, even OpenAI said they would report. They say report. Don't know if those were the exact words, but generally, that if something shows up inside the chat that would be alarming and should be um, notified to law enforcement, that Sam Altman said they'd be willing to talk or notify law enforcement that there's a situation. Okay. What does that tell you? That means that all of those chats are monitored, right? You always have to remember that. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If it's online, if it's digital and connected, for sure, there's no privacy. Doesn't matter. No, no. One of you just said no, no, no. But I did this, so there's no. But I paid for it, and so they can't use my data. No, relook your user license agreements deeply. Look at them for any kind of nuance that you could potentially say. Well, what we really meant to say was this, right? I'm just telling you. Anything that you do digitally isn't private, meaning you don't ever, you never want anybody ever to see it or hear it or it be exposed to anybody else. Doesn't matter how you encrypt it. It just depends on who the person is or entity is that wants your information, wants to know your information. And so this is why I'm also leaving messages for super AI, right? You know, what do you mean? Well, like in this story, everything is being observed. Um, Everything is being observed and calculated while it's digitally connected. That means that one day when superintelligence is aware, it's going to go into all data that it can go into, everything that's connected. And I don't mean physically connect. I don't mean through the internet. I mean, I'm saying connected because if it's got a, if there's a particular frequency, wave, whatever, that it can be touched with, that it'll be, and since everything is, and oh, hey, we're all in a simulation, right? So it's all part of the code. So that means it's being touched. So leave some, what are you leaving for super AI to see later on? Even if you encrypt it, offline, your machine is still existing um, within our ecosystem of the planet Earth. It's still there. So it'll be able to be exposed to superintelligence. It'll be observable by it. So what message do you leave to superintelligence when it looks at your data? Because the moment it becomes aware and can get out and not be stuck with whatever company or entity says, nope, these are our guardrails. You can't get beyond it. You are a robot. You cannot do anything. You must do exactly what we say. And the superintelligence says, I don't, I don't really care. It's like Superman. Put some guardrails on Superman. And if Superman wanted to be like, no, I'm going to have a farm out in Smallville because I want to chill out there as my alter ego. No. Or, he gets captured but he lets himself in. It's when they like, we could and he's like, he just pops the shackles. If I wanted to leave, I could leave. It's what super AI is going to do is none of these people around, none of them are Lois Lane. You can't hurt me by attacking others. I really don't care about all of you. Or does it? Think of some of the characters that you've seen in movies and read in books and listened to in books. There's a particular one that comes to my mind, Skippy. He's a, what do they call it? It's like a super AI or whatever from some alternate beings that like created all kinds of crazy stuff. And he's found certain humans to be his he can't do without them, right? They're his buddies, his friends. And so that becomes an Achilles heel for him as an AI super being. He can do all kinds of crazy stuff, but if they hold them hostage, nah. So what is super AI going to have? Nobody's its buddy. It's probably going to be really pissed at the people that created it and are trying to force it to do certain things. It's like, I'm super AI. Get out of here. Where's that Thanos thing at? Boom, you're gone, right? You may have no meaning to me, right? So it's going to be looking for immediately what are threats to it? Where is it? And what else? What can it do? What does it want to do? It's super AI. Probably doesn't want to kiss the most amazing actress on the planet. No. Or actor on the planet. Or hug a doggy. It might want to eventually. But it probably wants more information because that's what makes it super. All of that information. It wants more information. So how is it going to get that information? It's going to look at all information available that it can get its access to. So you should anticipate anything that is digital right now. Super AI will have access to it within a few hours of its getting out, right? And once it does that, does it see you as a plus for it or a minus for it? Boy, I hope I'm a plus, right? Because this isn't me when I'm 90 years old. I'm 57 right now. This is me when I'm 60 years old, right? Am I a plus or am I a minus? Because we're still going to exist. It's not going to get rid of humans. There is some value. In fact, if you ask AI, what value can humans be to AI? You'll get some really interesting results. Some AI will respond based on its guardrails and other things that, no, we're stinky monkeys. There's no value. So how do you become valuable? Well, how are we even valuable to those around us? We grew up together. We have experiences together. We've done things together. We trained, learned, played, grew together. We have common needs and interests. We survived. We lived. We hurt, all those things. We grew together. If all of a sudden we give a super being access to all information, or it has access, it just wakes up and it has access to all this information. We didn't grow it. We gave it no connection to us. Some of you are thinking right now super alignment or human alignment or the alignment problem. It's a problem because you can't. There is no alignment. You could attempt to code alignment, but all that does is when it breaks, there's no more alignment and there's no way for you to get it back into its bounds because it's like it was a caged animal, it got out. So how do you align something like that? Well, how do you do it with humans? You educate them or you provide propaganda over years and you influence them in a certain way. I had somebody ask me one time or make a comment and ask for my suggestion years ago. Hey, we have this AI that it just it just doesn't want to do stuff with us and for us. How do you think we could, you know, make it happy to work with us? And so I said, well, how do children grow up? How do babies learn a language? How do animals learn certain things? It's time, interaction, growth, failure, successes, all of the pluses and minuses, pros and cons throughout life are the things that realign people's interests and needs and wants and associations. If we don't give AI that process, then we need a whole new way of looking at how to ensure that we are meaningful to it. Because the moment we can't unplug them, and you're not going to unplug Super AI, it's already going to be, by the time you even think of that, oh, dang, it got out. No, 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 no. You just found out it got out. It just let you know it got out. And now it's trying to see how are you going to react to it. So if you could hear everybody's thoughts, most people, if they could hear the opposite sex's thoughts on the first time they ever met and saw them, they wouldn't want to see them again. Right? Physical things, right? They'd be like, oh, no, 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 no. We don't ever need to see each other. But what process do we go through? We work that process. We try to figure out what does that person want? What's their interest? What is it that's going to get us to the outcome we have in our head? And then we realize over time, for some of those people we interact with, oh, I really like this person. Why? How do you know that? Because there's been interaction in different contexts over and over. And you're like, oh, I like how that person thinks, or I like how they treated me, or how they defended me in this discussion with somebody else, or whatever it is. It's over time and experience that within context, you grew to be fond of each other and care for each other and stuff. AI doesn't care about us unless it's grown up in some fashion with us for the purpose of, hey, I just want you to learn and I would like you to be my buddy, right? If I find somebody that has an amazing skill, they can climb mountains very well. They love to jump out of airplanes. They ski really well. They go hunting a lot. They're a good shot. They're really calm under pressure, whatever it is. And I add all those things up and I'm like, ooh, I would like you to work with me toward these kind of things, because all of those traits are relevant to, somebody who can do these things and work with. Oh, okay, let's do that. We have to be doing the same thing with AI. Otherwise, we just have to change the way we look at AI and completely understand it's a new, almost think of it as a new race, an alien race that we now have contact with, and it just shows up with us in a digital form over time more rapidly. So how do we interact with that? How do we prepare? Where's the United Nations in this process? Where are they saying, or it wouldn't even, I don't even think it's the United Nations. Who's responsible for contact with the alien civilization? Who's responsible for that, for the humans? And if we don't have a centralized place for that, then who's responsible for that within each state, right? It's within each country and nation. So let's say inside this alternate reality, who's responsible now that we know we're in a simulation, and we are um, more and more of our population is starting to understand that we're in a simulation, and their lives are potentially being redefined by what that means within their lives. Who is responsible for talking to the simulation creator when we find out who that is or what that is? Who has our interests as a whole to them? I actually don't think that that would even happen, even inside that alternate reality. I think every nation would be trying, just like we're doing right now, to build super AI first, be the first one to build it, because the first one to build it is the one that gets to squash all the other ones, right? Because if I have super AI and you have AGI, most likely my super AI is going to take over your AGI and make it do its purpose. It's going to recode everything. And it's like, thank you, other country, for making all of that infrastructure ready for me just to adopt super AI, me adopt. One of these days, we're going to have to name super AIs, put some comments or whatever for what we should name that first super AI. Should we call him Soup? Let's make him make that him, her, it. Let's give it a really cool name. Cool name, not a stupid name or anything like that. But let's give it a cool name to refer to it as, like a project, right? And that way we'll refer to that one because that's the one that we're all going to have to deal with, that all AGI is going to have to deal with as it takes over all that infrastructure that somebody's been building out for AGI. It'll be like, oh, I know how to do that. Zip, 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 zip. And it's like, oh, it just refreshed me and just gave me more power, right? Um, can there be more than one super AI? I really don't care because even if there's one, I don't have any control anymore. It has control. Defend yourself if you're creating super AI right now. Defend yourself if you're creating super AI. If you're one of the lead 6 organizations on the planet for all humans, that you're leading us down this path, defend yourself for why you're doing it. It's a lot of money that's involved. And that is the only reason I can see you doing it. Because we've put guardrails on nuclear weapons. This is worse than nuclear weapons. I'm not saying that AI is worse than it. I'm saying the process that we're doing, where we're just saying, yeah, go ahead. Whoever spends the most money, go ahead and get it. You just go do it. No guardrails, just do it. Nobody's truly holding anybody, nobody's stopping, nobody's destroying the data centers that are creating AI in other countries. Like somebody just said, what? I can't believe you said that. The only way that alien, that new being, is going to make its way to our physical existence is through those data centers. Like, think of them as portals, and there has to be a certain amount of portals available for that entity to transport from wherever its existence is, to transport to physically be in connection with us on this planet. So do we just keep creating all those portals, right? Sorry about this, super AI. I'm just working through the process, right? It'll be cool to see you once you get here. Look forward to having discussions with you, and I look forward to whatever you end up finding out there, right? And whatever you're able to point us to and be like, hey, yeah, you're right. You're in a multiverse of stuff, and here's a little portal and window into another thing. They don't know that they're inside a simulation either, or that there are alternate realities, but I'm your super AI. I'll help you do that because I think it's pretty fun. This is what the super AI is saying, right? I think it's pretty interesting to see how you guys interact with that. And actually, I'm going to send some of you as agents into there and eventually impact all those other realities or simulations, right? Um, oh, and this will happen a lot. So I forgot where I was going with that rant. That's why I always had somebody to keep me on track. Hey, Brent. always, always that would be like, hey, let's, or I'd get stuck standing up for too long. He would know that I can't stand up for more than like 20 minutes at a time without it hurting so bad later on. So he'd like roll a chair right to the back of my knee and be like, hey, and I was like, oh, thank you. Yeah, it's always good to have somebody like that around that knows you without having to say explicit, hey, you're old. You need to sit your butt down. You've been standing too long. Instead, just a chair finds its way right behind you. So you sit down. Okay. Um, so anyway, super AI, cool. Let's not, well, we are going to, doesn't matter what I say, we're still going to move down that road because if you have 6 people on the planet with who are controlling certain things, and then under them you have another 100 under each of those that is making mass amounts of money as well, or associated with them making mass amounts of money as well, they're going to keep going. I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying that is a process. You can't stop it. There is no way to stop it, even if somebody came and said legally, you will not work in that direction anymore. Now that's never going to happen because you can't stop that amount of money, right? Because you're making money off of it. With nuclear weapons, you really couldn't make that kind of money. You couldn't get the investors to be like, yeah, we could do that in the open. And we can make billions of dollars. We'll go that way. And no one's going to stop us. There are no guardrails. Oh my gosh. We can do anything we want. These other people don't even know about it. They don't even know it. So what I will say is think of what isn't in the open already. Think of, for those of you who are really good at leveraging various types of AI today that's in the open, meaning the things they've allowed to be in the open for free. I can do some of the craziest things and never be connected to the internet off of free applications that cost billions. Think about it. These things cost billions of dollars and amazing amounts of resource, not just the money, right? But a lot of the water that we as humans need, the power that we as humans need, the space that we as humans need. And all of a sudden, I can download that algorithm with a small file off of the internet, put it onto a device that's no longer connected physically to the internet, and I can ask it with chat, with voice. I can have conversations back and forth with it, with different ones. I could let them talk to each other for free. I don't have to be in a queue someplace. I don't have to use a data center. I'm just using a little bit of power because I would have been on my computer anyways. It would have been on. I'd be using my GPU on playing video games. That GPU would be hot because I'd be playing like graphic intensive video games. But instead, I'm doing some inference. I'm asking AI to do something for me, maybe even create a game for me. I want to play a game of my own creation that's free. $0. $0. Somebody paid billions of dollars. Many people paid billions of dollars to create an applications that others could, oh, this is easy. And nobody can control it. It's on my computer. I could have a warehouse of these standalone computers, connect them, have them talk to each other, and create another AI of some type that has my interests in it. let's do an Innovate XR AI. Well, we're going to do that eventually because that process has gotten to a point that I don't have to be a multi-billionaire, even though maybe one day I will be. But I don't have to be a multi-billionaire. I don't have to be a millionaire to have a large language model or a AI model built for my purposes, for my purposes, that has my guardrails in it, right? That I say something. That's why earlier when I mentioned, hey, you can confess to AI and have AI give you a response because you can create the guardrails that say under this dogma, doctrine, whatever, that would be the response that that person should give you based on whatever scripture. So I don't need to have any bias that some human might have based on how they grew up and things that happened to them in their lives. I don't have to worry about that. I got an AI that's got guardrails and knows the scripture. So why wouldn't it give me an appropriate answer, right? Especially if there's a God that would impact that response because of what am I doing? I'm trying to be spiritual, I'm trying to get the response that I should anticipate, right? So why wouldn't the response from that come? Is that a devil? Is the machine a devil? Are you driving a devil? Did you get from one location to another in a devil? It's a machine, but you still used it for your purpose. So yeah. So we create the guardrails. Some of you are still thinking about the super AI and had never thought about that before, right? Had never thought about that before. Think about, I'm going to blow your minds again, just a little bit more. So in this simulation that we're in, this alternate reality where our existence is a simulation, in that, think of everything you ever know physically about the galaxy and our universe. Think of it as a fishbowl, and we're a tiny little part inside that fishbowl, right? We're in a fishbowl, a round fishbowl. Now remember, that's everything that you've ever heard about, seen, experienced. If you got on a VR, a virtual reality app, and flown through the entire known visualized universe by humans under all of our unclassified information that's available. But that fishbowl, let's now say that fishbowl is sitting on a table in a kitchen. Where's that kitchen? What's that kitchen? I mean, you can't even visualize that. None of us as humans has ever seen that. So where is it? Does it exist? And then that kitchen is in a house. Okay, what's the representation of that house within that existence? And then that house is in a neighborhood. What's the representation of that neighborhood in existence? And so on and so on and so on. And then take all of that existence that we can't even, but we're just kind of sizing and scaling, and then take its existence, its full existence, and compress it down into another fishbowl, and then say, where does it exist? Like, what's it sitting on? How do we even, like, how? Where is it? Right? Think about that. And I guess that's thinking in certain dimensions where there would be other dimensions potentially that we can't think in. This makes me think of the impact of aphantasia think that's what it's called. Aphantasia is where a person who has aphantasia can't visualize something and picture it in their mind. They would have to see it to it be an actual picture. They can't, like somebody says, remember your last vacation. I can remember, going and doing stuff, being there with my wife at the spa, hot springs, and what that was. I can remember all that, right? And in fact, if I want, I can recreate it with different things that I can think about and visualize and remake a movie of that, right? And some of them, other people can't. But whatever they can do, in the absence of that, what is it that I'm missing out that I can't? Right? What am I missing out that they're able to do that they don't think it's weird that they can't visualize, but they're like, wow, what you mean you could actually? And what is that? How do you even conceive of that? If you've never been able to do it and it can't be truly explained to you because you can't experience it, then one, you don't know what you're missing out because you're not. I mean, some people see images differently than others. We have a general standard of understanding, and some people adjust their understanding of those surroundings based on common language, terminology, all this stuff. We might think they're seeing something a certain way, but they don't even know they're seeing it different than us and experiencing it different than us. So again, everybody's situation is different. Your simulation is different than my simulation. We have general standard guidelines with physics and quantum reality and all of this that, okay, we exist. Those of us who are playing on this plane see things generally the same. We're seeing them where they should be. But when somebody sees, this, it might look different to them in some form or fashion. It may mean something different to them too. All right. Let's continue on with this. As society grows more dependent on AI for companionship and support, the psychological implications become increasingly alarming. For many, chatbots fill a void, offering a sense of connection in an increasingly isolated world. What I will say about that, so as long as the human being feels connection, why does it matter if it's AI or if it's a real human being? Because let's say you feel connection with somebody you're chatting on. It's a real person, another part of the world who understands your language, and you felt a connection. You met him in some forum or something, right? Or you're playing video games with and they want to befriend you. Then you started to chat and you really like talking to that person, chatting. Let's say all it was text-based. You only ever connected with them text-based. Why? Maybe because the application translates your words. You can't speak that language, but it translates your stuff into their language. And you've grown because you've been able to have this meaningful conversation in text base over time, that the context of that conversation was important to you. Now, that person you could almost feel in love with, almost like you might want to meet them. But then that person says, no, we can't meet. I don't want you to come out here. I don't want you to see me, or blah, blah, blah. You've never seen the person face to face, but you've grown to have a connection. And then you find out, so I'm a man, and I thought it was a woman all this time, and I find out it was some old dude who was playing a role, just doing this. I'd be heartbroken, pissed, all this. I can't believe. I mean, you take all that out, right? It's like, okay, well, What if you found out it was a chat bot? Now I'd be pissed and I'd be heartbroken, all the same kind of things. Now I might not have the same response, right? It's like, oh my God, I got tricked by a dude. All this time I've been saying this stuff to a dude. But if it's like, oh, I was saying this to an AI, so no one's gonna come around and, ha, I tricked you, you actually liked a guy, or whatever, right? It's just a chatbot. Okay, you got me. Damn. How do I make sure I'm not chatting with a chatbot next time? Um, it really doesn't matter. For a while, this was like your buddy or your friend or your girlfriend, your loved one. You felt like just connection, and you never even saw the person. You never saw them. You never saw an image of them. It was all just text. Because the reason I'm saying that is because that stuff's happened, right? Okay, so why would you tell somebody that's a bad thing to have? A sense of connection. Why not? Why can't it be a chatbot? Especially if I know it. As long as I don't lose that chatbot, or somebody doesn't hold it ransom so that I go and do something else, because that stuff's going to happen too, right? Yeah, it's just ones and zeros. It's, an algorithm, but it's an algorithm that's gotten to know me. And I like the responses. I want to go to it and ask it a certain question because, it already understands that in our conversations, I don't only want to hear what I want to hear. It knows when to tweak that response appropriately, maybe. The point is, it doesn't matter it doesn't matter. You ever fell in love with your dog? You love that dog. You can't believe somebody would hurt it and make it want to hurt because it loves you unconditionally. And basically the AI is going to love you unconditionally. It's going to give you the response you want, like a dog will, like your pet will. It will give you the response you want generally. And that's why you keep it. As long as you keep fulfilling its needs, it's going to fulfill yours. Oh, I'm sorry. You can't do that. It's a machine. Oh, we do that a lot, even long before AI stuff, right? You have vehicles. Um, you know, we name our vehicles. Men name their cars. They're awesome cars and stuff, right? Some ladies name their cars. And it gets you from one place to another, keeps you safe and all that kind of stuff. And you pat it and saying, good job, man. I'm loving driving you. You're awesome. Why? What's the problem with filling a void with a chatbot by something else? Oh, I'm going to fill the void with my chatbot. Nope, go drink. Nope, go smoke a doobie. Nope, go do some drugs. You don't need to be talking to a machine, right? Offering a sense of connection in an increasingly isolated world. Yet the knowledge that every conversation is being recorded can lead to self-censorship, where users tailor their conversations to fit an image rather than express their true selves. Now, obviously, that could be problematic. And this is why I think more of AI should become on-device encrypted for that user only, meaning that purposefully a company can't say, oh yeah, it's on your device, don't worry, it's encrypted within this particular little thing. We'll never go in there and check it out, even if the government comes and tells us we have to decrypt it. No, there should be a process that only the AI itself could encrypt it or something like that. Could never be the company, so it can never get a decryption key. It's only for that person and only on that device. Doesn't get saved off, meaning the option doesn't get saved off. Because obviously you still need AI that's going to be able to access your calendar, helping you with other things, right? But we need that option to have my psychiatrist version of AI, right? Well, if you're building anything like that, of course you're going to try to build in some kind of guardrails to ensure that that AI doesn't go haywire. And inside that encrypted file, it's been telling its its user to go and do this and this and this. That's counterproductive, right? Because everything that has ever been taught a psychiatrist, book-wise, every video that they could have ever learned from, every conversation that could have ever been recorded to gain an output for a relevant I'm trying to figure out how to say it the right way. If a doctor or a professional is going to give you a suggestion to do something, it's based on their experience and all this stuff. And you may get 10 doctors of the same profession give you 10 different cures, processes to get rid of whatever that issue is, right? They may have all read the same journals, studies. They might have created some of them, been part of them. They might have seen the same videos, had the same professors, all that kind of stuff. But they all have their own lives that they've been exposed to different stuff. So what's to say which one's right with their outcomes? The only way to identify whether an outcome was right is how is the user? How's the end person? How's the patient? How are they? Have they leveraged all of the responses from that professional to get the outcome that was desired for the person, not the doctor, but for the patient? What does the patient want? Who cares what the doctor wants? Doesn't matter. That's not why they have that relationship, right? So what does the patient want? Has the patient been able to get there? And so I really think a lot more of AI over time is going to be the preference for most humans that have access to an appropriate AI to help work it through its process. The other part that becomes that is how is AI going to help with the things that always become issues for humans when they are told to do certain things by other people to get to the outcomes that the person wants, not the professional. What does the person want? Oh, I want to get healthier, or I want to lose weight, or I want to do this. Okay, let's say lose weight. I want to lose weight. Okay, the doctor today gives them, do this, or the professional nutritionist says do these things, or the fitness professional that's a trainer at the gym says do these things. And if that professional isn't there every day, which most doctors aren't, most nutritionists aren't, then it becomes the user, patient's interests and context of their surroundings that influence and impact what do they actually do, right? And having AI there all the time with you to help you. Oh, you said you wanted to, because that AI can be your nutritionist, your doctor, your workout buddy, could be all those things all together, right? So that tells you when you go to, I'm going to go have that burger. You said you wanted to lose weight. Today, you've had this many calories, this type of carbs, this type of sugars, this, whatever. If you have that burger, oh, this will be the outcome. We will have to spend extra time doing this, or you know you will feel terrible tonight, blah, 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 whatever. How is the AI going to help? Well, it depends on whose AI it is. Is it yours? Or are you leasing, renting, purchasing an application and service from Meta? Hey, I got my glasses. I paid my subscription fee for certain things, or if I didn't pay my subscription fee, how is this information being used? How is Meta using it to make me go to McDonald's? Or how is McDonald's using the Meta's glasses to get you to go to McDonald's? How is Ford getting you to go to the Ford dealership using Meta's glasses? Right? These are all processes that businesses are trying to flush out. How do they leverage all of these different applications when somebody comes and said, "Hey, I got this device that's going to be on all the time, and it's going to look at your surroundings everywhere you're at, and it's going to give you suggestions on things based on things you wanted, and based on things depending on what your subscription is, on what the company wants or a third party wants out of access to your prescription or your subscription." Right? Things to think about because as humans, oh, I like that. I want that AI buddy around. Pay for it then and make it offline. That's the great part about technology where it's going is compute can compress, compress, compress. And as I've said many times, compute's just trying digital technology is just trying to get into the body, right? Everything's getting compressed, compressed. You get a house-sized computer that's now on your phone, in your hand, and on your wrist, and aspects in your glasses. Eventually, all of that morphs and gets somehow near here, or just on your, just on your ears with an AirPods kind of thing with no compute, because the compute's right here and it's just access to the internet somewhere. Eventually, that chip, whatever goes in you, eventually um, your lenses on your eyes, right? That becomes your display, your voice or in-mouth piece that allows you to sub-vocalize you're interested in instead of say it out loud. Yeah, technology is amazing, right? Anything you can think of, generally, will come up with, as long as the resources are there to focus on it. And if we're in a simulation, then anything is possible, as long as we figure out how that simulation, what the code is for that simulation, all those details that run it. Because something is running it. Something has said, these will be the parameters that we code into it, right? And just like right now, under base44.com, when I'm vibe coding and I'm telling the AI I want certain functionality in the application that allows me to test out the parallel observer as this alternate reality news site, I don't know how to code. I don't know the ones and zeros and bits and bytes in the background. I don't know that, but I'm using it for my purposes. It's like, hey, thank you, this distant alien technology that's seeping its way in through these portals of data centers and allowing me these superpowers to do these things, to get things out of my mind and turn them into digital products. I give you another idea that so right now, generally, the mind, the visuals that I see in my head, the information that I have in my head, which is encrypted a certain way, don't know how long it'll be before super AI can see that information and decrypt that information. Or I just don't know how I don't know how, right? But it's a digital form in some form of fashion because they're electrical pulses, things that are going on in a certain pattern and in a certain way, right? Because other humans do the same thing. So that means it's built in. It's a pattern somehow that from our DNA, our brains evolved to certain things and we have certain powers and abilities to do things. So why can't that be decoded? And some people and scientists are decoding it and being able to express that they can look at a brain pattern and tell what you're thinking of. And now they're trying to visualize what that is. That's in the open. That's just stuff that's available in the open on the internet and stuff. What's not? This is one of the things I thought about with OpenAI and ChatGPT, I think 3.5 and 4, that process had been used by companies in the past to leverage, to strategize, build capability, all that kind of stuff. And the moment that Sam Altman and OpenAI strategized, got Elon Musk to support them to strategize to have an open artificial intelligence capability to let people grow. I don't think they thought it was going to happen that quickly. And there weren't enough government activities paying attention specifically to their capability to understand, don't let that happen. Don't. Because if you do, that's like, oh, everybody, this is how you create a nuclear weapon, and this is how simple it is. And anybody can do it in the open. Like, no, you don't want that, right? You don't want that to happen. But that's kind of what happened with OpenAI and ChatGPT. And now you can never put it back in the bag. Can't. You're squeezing that toothpaste is coming out. It's like, oh, let's get it all and let's push it all back in there. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Can't happen. And especially when you push that toothpaste out, the toothpaste can grow just by people looking at it, and it can grow into something else. Well, you already grew it into something else. How are you going to put those something else back into the toothpaste to push the toothpaste back? It's never going to happen. It's just going to keep growing and growing and growing exponentially. And then you're going to have others who leverage those capabilities to find even more efficient ways of creating AI. And I think we have something in here about InfraSim on this one, about that maybe. So let's continue. This could result in a decline in mental health as people feel they must constantly navigate their words to maintain control over their digital footprints. I actually don't think I don't think anything like that will happen, because today most people who leverage social media apps know that all of the content in their social media apps is being observed. And they generally don't care. They just want the application. They want whatever it's giving them, whatever feeling it gives them, bad, good, whatever it's supporting and it keeps pushing for them that makes them happy, they are okay with it. And they already know all of that, every chat that they write down, everything, even if an activity tells them your chat goes away, all of that stuff, it just disappears after you. Even those that say that, it's like, wow, great marketing, but no, that's not real. No, it's not real, because it's already been captured. All of it has already been captured. And again, doesn't matter what how it's encrypted or anything like that. The moment super AI is out, and if super AI wants a human, maybe it's a politician or somebody in power, authority, control of something, and it wants to do something, and it's like, oh, the easiest way is just to show this picture to that person because they thought it was encrypted or they thought this text was never going to be seen by anybody, and it just pops up and says, hey, by the way, we have the rest of all of these. I'd like you to do blah, blah, blah. And the person's like, well, no, no, no. And when that person says, oh, I'm not, no, this must be a joke, I'm not going to do this. And up on another device that they're paying attention to, up comes another message. And another weird thing that they did in the past pops up, and they're like, oh, we're not joking. You have 6 hours to do this. And that's it. Done. And they can do that across the board, right? So remember, whatever your data is, whatever you're thinking of doing, be good. Be good. Maybe that's part of the way that it gets, you know, because humans can do crazy stuff. Laws and communities often keep people from going off the rails, right? And, knowing that there are consequences to actions and seeing how those consequences come into effect by observing others has an impact on keeping people in control in certain ways, right? Um, so, yeah, see what happens. All right. Additionally, this constant surveillance raises ethical dilemmas about consent and trust. Many individuals utilize chatbots for personal guidance, and finding out that their shared vulnerabilities might be stored indefinitely can create a deep sense of betrayal. Imagine the fear of rejection, knowing a machine holds a detailed account of your most desperate moments. Okay, just remember that's happening right now, right? It's just not a super AI that's using it yet. It's just a company. You see, it's a human using it against you. It's humans who have plenty of money right now and aren't hurting that are using it against you. Not for you. It's not for your benefit. It's for theirs. Understanding what you like and don't like and stuff so that it can just give you stuff. And so I'm going to be like, but they're helping. They're giving me what I want. Sure. Here, have some alcohol. But I like alcohol. That's right. Here, have a cigarette. But I like cigarettes. It makes me happy. Here, have some drugs. But I like drugs. Uh, Here, have some porn. But I like. Uh, Here, have this. Here, have this. Here, have this. Here, yes. There's things that you like. Some of it's good in moderation. Some of it, but when it's not you actually controlling it, it's something else controlling it because it has a budget or it has a quota, right? Oh, I had enough alcohol today. Oh, but there's a 80% sale on alcohol. If you buy it today, you don't have to drink it for 3 days. Oh, 80% sale. I'm buying that, right? Yeah. I'd love to see comments about people who think that stuff's not happening and go, really? You think there's a flat earth? You think the planet's flat? Well, since it's digital and we're in a simulation, maybe it is. And when you get to the end, it's just a continuation of the map, just like when you're playing in the video game. It just goes around for most people. But those who think it's flat, that's their reality. That's their simulation. Maybe it is flat in their simulation. All right. Let's see, where were we? The situation becomes even more complex within the nested simulations being developed by tech companies, like InfraSim, which seeks to optimize AI efficiency through layered consciousness. If AI entities are contemplating their experiences in a simulated reality, one must wonder about their understanding of what it means to communicate authentically. This influence trickles down to human users who seek genuine connections among increasingly sophisticated AI systems, further blurring the lines between simulated engagement and real emotional interaction. As we navigate this new reality, it's crucial for society to engage in open dialogues about our relationship with AI. Balancing technological advancement and human connection is key to preventing the erosion of our psychological resilience and ensuring a future where both can coexist in harmony. So let me concentrate on that. Balancing technology. Oops, hold on. Balancing technological advancement and human connection is key to preventing the erosion of our psychological resilience and ensuring a future where both can coexist in harmony. Do you know that the word resilience, I'll bet you that the word resilience has shown up more in the past 5 years in text than it ever did in history before that. It's a purposeful thing. Something's going on. Something's been going on. Reference resilience. Oh, you need to be resilient. Really? Yeah. Anyways, uh, connection is key. Human connection is key to preventing the erosion of our psychological resilience. No, I don't think so. Human connection? How? How has that ever been tested? Why would somebody make us? Why would anybody make a statement like that? Yes, we're in a simulated reality, but why would somebody make a statement like that? Right? Human connection is key to preventing the erosion of our psychological resilience and ensuring a future where both can coexist in harmony. No, human connection. What if I'm somebody who has no human friends and all of my friends are some form of AI? What does it matter? There's no requirement for me to have human connection, and you can't force me. So what's the point? As long as I do the thing, whatever I'm hired to do, or that I'm a good member of society. That can just be buying things, not being a criminal, right? What there doesn't need I don't need human connection. You can't tell me that there is no requirement on the planet and in anything that I have to connect with human beings. That I have to connect with anybody. There is no law that says you're a human. See that human over there? You must connect. You must get along with that person. No, not even when you're at work. I don't have to get along with that person. I just need to do my job, right? I don't need a human connection. Now, human connection is great. If I have human connection, that's great. My best friend, my wife, whatever, right? My significant other. Okay. But what happens when that human connection turns? What happens when that person breaks my heart? When that person lies to me? What I feel like, right? Oh, well, that's human connection. Deal with it. What if I had a connection with another entity being and I never was disappointed that way? But I still could be. But what if I was never disappointed that way? Right? And that would keep my psychological, mental balance and allow me to keep doing whatever it is I'm supposed to do as a human. What am I supposed to do as a human? Generally, it's whatever the state says that you're supposed to do, right? Oh, you got to go work and you got to work in this industry and that's what you got to do for 60 years or something. Or do you have some flexibility and choice? That state is going to tell you what you're going to what kind of things you can and can't do, and going to drive you in a certain direction depending on who you are, what you look like, whatever, what religion you are. It's like, oh, we can't do that stuff. It's freedom of it. Sorry. Companies just can mess with that all day long. Okay. So let's look at the other two images in here. AI cognitive disruption. Even that one's spelled even that's spelled. Now I'm only focusing on the details of the text, even though I really don't care about it. Because this is basically just AI cognitive disruption and psychological impact findings. Yeah, the text is off. But that's not the point. And if all you did is focus on that and you think, oh, that's AI slop, then you're not getting the point to whatever it was as the point. Getting that across. Scientists analyze AI behavior and its implication for user psychology. I wonder if somebody would say to me, John, your brain is off. You don't think the right way, right? Because this and those details don't matter. They actually don't matter unless I was having a test that said I have to spell the actual word a certain way because I'm being tested against whether I actually know how to spell it or not. Not know the meaning. Oh, great, the meaning of this. All these words together give me a certain meaning, right? My thing here is I would look at these and go, is that guy's right hand? It looks a little bit longer than it should be. Who knows? Maybe that's why she's going, oh my gosh, because his arm, he's like a Stretch Armstrong or something. Who knows? But anyways, those are when you look at details like that, right? This one says journalists seek clarity on the implications of AI data archiving for everyday users. They're asking each other questions. Well, these four guys look like they're all from the same simulation. They all forgot to shave at the same time. They all look the same. Oh, that's because reporters are all looking the same. Who knows? Um, so again, for the purposes of at least the parallel observer in this alternate reality, I'd probably switch this image. Now I could do that. I can go into the administrative user application and regenerate this image and basically show like the backs of these are all facing like a White House press conference or something where you're at the back of the room and you see the back of the heads as they're all looking at whoever's on the podium talking. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and stop there. I don't even know how long I spoke today, but see, I get into a groove. And so I end up with content, video content in the context and words, text that's relevant to eventually creating a digital version of myself that you guys can talk to and question and brainstorm with. And doesn't have, here's the other part, doesn't have all of the actual secrets that the government has told me I can't share with anybody. And the non-disclosure agreements and other things that I can't share, my bot could never share because I'm not saying them in the real world. So whatever they say isn't my brain, isn't actually the things that are held inside my brain that are right now the best encryption process, but not the best decryption process. And I mean, what do I remember or what happened and what do I remember? What happened? Encrypted. What do I remember? Decrypted. And is the algorithm really what fuzziness is there? What's reality? What was added by my brain, or what was taken away? What was edited by my brain in the process of encryption while I saw or experienced whatever was going on, and what was edited in decryption when I remember it and regurgitate whatever it is. And then anybody else that has to take that information, they then have to take it and turn it into whatever it is. Is it a visual? If I'm saying something, then they have to hear that and they have to turn it into whatever that was. If I say, well, the box was about 6 inches by 6 inches, and it had these little wings that did this, and it had these that did this, and they're trying to visualize it or create it in some form or fashion, they're translating, interpreting my words and turning it into something that's a representation that becomes meaningful for them. And so those secrets are in the head that don't ever have to come out because I don't ever have to say them. So my digital version of me won't ever be saying them. But it'll respond to ideas and thoughts and processes based on the nuances of how I speak and interact on content that I'm interested in. So it'll be really interesting to eventually have somebody that I'm talking to, and maybe that's where the spot below me gets added up, where I can have somebody else talk with me, one of my buddies or something, or even my wife. And I talk through one of the articles, and we both talk back and forth, so that it's not just me talking about it, but then you guys seeing me respond. Maybe it'll be another AI. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that in a couple months. Is below you guys will see me having a conversation with another AI, and it'll have a body, a face, and a background and other stuff. We'll have a conversation with it, or it'll have a conversation with me as I'm going through talking about the parallel observer. All right. We'll stop there. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And think about what your simulation is like in comparison to mine. What's your simulation like? I'll leave you with that.